Hey guys, thank you for watching the Real Estate Doctor podcast. If you get value from this episode, which I know you will, please hit the subscribe button, like it, comment, do your thing. Hey guys, and welcome to the Real Estate Doctors podcast, where I'm here to educate, inspire, and entertain you. So I hope that I can be entertaining again today. So I just want to thank Embassy Suites in Aruba for allowing us to record the podcast here again. If you guys are ever in Aruba, this is a brand new hotel. It's beautiful. You should come check it out. If you didn't know, I live in Aruba and I want to display the beauty of Aruba. And so here it is. But what that means is sometimes I have to deal with the elements. So if you have a helicopter or you hear somebody, having a party over here in this other room, we'll have to deal with it. Beauty of doing the elements. So today's subject is probably the most controversial real estate subject out there. Is like, how do I do real estate with no money? Everybody asks me. Nobody believes that you can do it except for people that are already in real estate and know that you can do it. So this is off the cuff and it's just coming out because this is what I do every day. It's not prepared, and I'm just going to keep talking about all the different ways that you can make money in real estate without money. So the first one that I'll start with is wholesaling. What is wholesaling? Is wholesaling like selling bananas in Idaho, where they have potatoes, and bringing them from Florida, where I think they make bananas? No, it's not that kind of wholesaling. I don't even know how the word wholesaling, I should look this up, came to be. But wholesaling real estate is basically you put a property under contract. So you sign a piece of paper. I will buy your house for X dollars. Let's say $100,000. And you find a buyer, like me, the real estate doctor, for $150,000. And you sell, not the house. You don't close on the house. You don't pay for the house. You sell the contract, the piece of paper. So now you sell this $100,000 piece of paper to somebody else for $150,000. Now the first question might be like, well, why would they pay $150,000? Well, the only reason they're going to pay $150,000 is if you got this piece of paper for a deal. So one of the things you need to do is know what a deal is and be able to find a deal and put it under contract. So if you can put a deal under contract, you can sell it for more money. And that's actually called assigning a contract. So before I get into the 3 strategies of wholesaling, and just so you know, I have 9 hours of recorded content on how to learn how to wholesaling. I'm just going to give you the snippets to explain how this is. I also want to mention to you that I made my first $1 million cash money from wholesaling. I didn't come from money, and I did wholesaling in order to make money, to build capital, to invest in real estate. So this can be done. Now, in wholesaling, the number one thing that you should be doing, which I don't know why other people don't teach this, because, I'm not the only person that's out here talking about wholesaling. The number one thing before you learn how to find a deal, work a strategy, do whatever, is you need a buyer. If you don't have people to buy your piece of paper, you're just wasting your time. So you need to find ways to find buyers. Obviously, I'm the real estate doctor, and I literally in 30 seconds, I can find you a buyer in your town, wherever that town might be, anywhere in the United States. I can find you a buyer. If you told me that you live in Tallahassee, Florida, and you want to sell your property, and I can put in 30 seconds, I can have every buyer in Tallahassee, Florida. So just trust me, that's for a different, that takes a little bit more time than explaining it in 30 seconds. You need to find a buyer. After you find a buyer, then you need to sell it. But what I do is I get buyers, and you don't need 1,000 buyers. You need 1 or 2 or 3 at max buyers that buy every month. And I can tell you that there are plenty of people in the United States or companies that buy multiple properties every month wherever you live. I can assure you of that. So once you have a buyer, now you don't have a property, right? So you need to find strategies to get properties. There's 3 strategies, and we're talking about doing a real estate deal with no money. So putting a property under contract, in general, you will need a deposit. Now, 80% of the deposits I put down on houses are $1,500 and less. So in the instance where you need to put down a deposit, I'm sorry, I lied, you need a little bit of money. That being said, it's only $1,500 and maybe a real estate agent wants you to pay $5,000 you can borrow the down payment. There's companies that will lend you money for the down payment, so you can do it with no money. But these companies are asking too much money for those down payment monies. But the first strategy I teach is a joint venture strategy where you found the buyer because you listened to me. That's the first thing you did. And the buyer says, I want to buy property in Indianapolis under $100,000 in such and such neighborhood. Well, now you just go in Indianapolis and look for other wholesalers, which they have Facebook groups, they're in RIA groups, and you say, hey, I got a buyer in Indianapolis that wants to buy something for under $100,000 in such and such neighborhood. You will get inundated with DMs of people that are trying to sell their property because they didn't go to the real estate doctor and they learned how to get deals under contract without getting buyers first. If you got the buyer, you have the power. So in any event, in a joint venture situation, you need absolutely no money because that joint venture person already put a deposit down on the property, already dealt with the seller, already ordered title. So you can do a no money down deal totally in the joint venture strategy of wholesaling. The two other strategies in wholesaling, and I don't want to make this all about wholesaling, are one, you get deals from the MLS. This is the more difficult one, but 90% of all the deals in the United States are on the MLS, which is the multiple listing service, which is online real estate agents. You will have to put a deposit down with a real estate agent, and they will be the ones that want you to put the most up. The third strategy, which is the most lucrative, is to go direct to a motivated seller. So what is a motivated seller? A motivated seller is somebody that needs money now. Somebody that's in foreclosure, had a divorce, a death in the family, and maybe they're behind in their payments, whatever it is, they need money now. So you need to find a motivated seller. And now if the motivated seller also has a crappy house that needs a lot of work, you have a crappy house with a motivated seller that you can get a really good deal on. So those are three strategies. In that strategy, you don't have to put up as much of a deposit as you do with a real estate agent. But in wholesaling, where you need money are a couple ways. A deposit on the contract, which you would get reimbursed by your ultimate buyer. However, if you don't have a buyer, like let's say you put a property on a contract, which a lot of people do, wholesalers, and you didn't do your due diligence and it's not a good deal. Nobody wants to buy it. You can lose your deposit. But if you do sell it, you do your due diligence. Let's say you borrowed $5,000 from a friend to use as a deposit. You'll get that money back when you sell the property to this other, not the property, the contract to somebody else. So you really don't need money. Now, if you want to be a big-time wholesaler, and listen, you can make crazy money being a big-time wholesaler. I've wholesaled properties as high as $2 million. So I have sold contracts for $2 million more than I put them under contract. I've many, many times done over $100,000. So if you want to use that route, a lot of times you need to be direct to the seller to get the best deal. Now, in order to get direct to the seller, you do need to spend money to get lists or software, skip trace, which is a way that you can find somebody's phone number, and call people and make deals. Now, I just want to let you know, wholesaling can be a business, and it can be a business where you don't spend a lot of time, but this is not the subject matter of this podcast. So, guys, you can really get into real estate being a wholesaler with very little money, and the average wholesaler that I know makes $200,000 to $300,000 a year. The average wholesale fee in the United States for one deal is $15,000. If you're in California or Florida or one of these states, it's $50,000, $40,000. You get one contract. So you should really look into wholesaling. That's a way to get you started. The second, well, I don't have numbers here. I'm just going off the fluff. I might lose my count here. So the second way is you can raise private money. So what is private money? Well, first, in order to understand what private money is, there is conventional money, which is like bank money. Now, we all know that banks want to make sure that, you're 6'5" and a 300-pound strong man that can lift up a truck. Just kidding. But banks want to make sure you have a certain credit score, that your loan to value is this, that you put down money. So banks are a pain in the butt, right? But they give you the cheapest money. Now, there's in between banks and private money, there's hard money. Hard money is more expensive. It's really good when you're doing construction. And hard money lenders will loan you 70 to 80% of a project. And if you're buying the project for less than that, you can get 100% of the money. I will start here with private money and go back to hard money. These hard money lenders, if you just Google hard money lenders, there's hundreds and hundreds of hard money. There's thousands of hard money lenders. Any old real estate investor that doesn't feel like doing a real estate deal becomes a hard money lender. Hey, I don't know if you guys heard the horn. I'm sure they weren't beeping at me. But anyway, now, private money is where you have, it's not a formal company. It could be your aunt, your mom, your sister, your neighbor, anybody private. So you're borrowing money from initially your circle of influence. And what you're doing, and I have a whole spiel with this, but basically, if you want to raise private money, you need to tell people that you're in the real estate business. So when people ask me, what do you do? I'm a real estate investor, and I finance all my deals with other people's money. What does that do? That gets everybody to go, what do you mean, other people's money? And then I explain, well, would you like to make more than 10% on your money? How much money does the bank pay you? And now we're in a high interest rate where the banks are paying about 5%, but you can still make double the money. And actually, in loaning me money, and this could be you, on a real estate deal is safer than putting your money in the bank. When you put $100,000 in the bank in the United States, I don't know the exact number, but I believe they can lend out 7 times that. So they're not even, they're taking your money and lending it out. So they don't have all of your money. So if the bank goes under, and listen, banks are not safe. Look how many banks go under. If the bank goes under, you're out of luck. I know in the U.S. we have FDIC insurance, but you're out of luck unless you have that insurance. Now, if you loan me money on a real estate deal and let's say you're loaning me the money, I give you a note and a mortgage that we put against the property, and I cannot sell that property unless I pay you off. So raising private money, which is definitely beyond the scope of this, I just want to kind of whet your appetite. Raising private money is showing other people that they can make more money. If they had $100,000, they're going to make more money loaning it to you safer than if they put it in the bank. Now, a common question people say with raising private money, well, I don't know anybody with money. Well, guess what? Yes, you do. People say, sometimes I'll be like, yeah, this is how you make money in private money. Here's a quick one I'll give you from one of my courses. Never ask somebody for money. You are offering them an opportunity to make money. So I usually, at the end of my spiel, I tell people like, hey, do you know anybody that would be interested in that? And the next question they go is, well, I'm interested, But if you ask them, hey, would you be interested in that? They become defensive. Always ask, do you know somebody that might be interested in that? But in any event, back to the private money thing. So you don't know anybody with money, right? Well, anybody that has equity in a house has money. How do banks make money? Banks take deposits from us. Basically, it's a loan to the bank. And banks borrow money in the United States from the Federal Reserve, and they lend it out at more money. That is called arbitrage. A private lender, let's say they live in California, they have an $800,000 house, they owe $400,000, they can go get a home equity line of credit, borrow against the house, and then lend you that money. Now, of course, they have to pay interest on that money, but you're borrowing at a higher interest rate, so they can make the difference, just like a bank. They can be the bank. You teach private people how to be your private bank. So if you can raise private money, and when I say if, it's just a matter of you deciding that you want to raise private money. I've had students in their early 20s, after 3 sessions of explaining all the pros and cons, so because people are going to question you, they're going to say, well, hold on, what about this? And what about this? You got to understand all the pros and cons. And actually, the worst case scenario for a private lender is the best case scenario for a private lender. If the private lender loans you money, you don't pay them back, they can take the property and sell it for more money. With the private lending, I can assure you, people that either have equity in their house, they can borrow from their 401k, they can have their self-directed IRA loan you money, they can borrow from their life insurance. People that don't have money realize that they do have money, they can borrow that money, lend it to you, and they can make the difference. Just imagine, like, if you have $400,000 in equity in your property and you were to go borrow it at, let's say, I'll make easy numbers here. Rates aren't this high, but let's say 10%. So you got to pay $40,000 a year. And I'm willing to pay you 15%. Well, you can make $20,000 a year on doing paperwork. That's just an example. You have to do the math. So if you can raise private money, and listen, if you're a real serious real estate investor and you want to flip properties and you want to buy rental properties and you want to get into the deal with no money, and it doesn't have to be a long-term loan, by the way. So like I use private lenders all the time. Like when I go to a closing, I don't ever bring money, ever. Now you're going to say, well, you're a real estate doctor. You've been doing it for so many years. Well, guess what that started with? One person. One person loaned me money, and then another person loans you money. What do you think these people are going to do? Let's say you go and you find somebody that wants to loan you money, and you're paying them 12% interest, right? 12% interest in a real estate deal. You can pay 20% interest in a real estate deal, and it's not that big of a deal. You're still going to make a lot of money. And right now, let me stop at, I say this all the time, but it is not the cost of the money when you're in a real estate deal. It's the access to the money. So, if you can flip a property and make $100,000, but you need the money. If you don't have the money, you won't make $100,000. But if you can borrow from a private lender and they want 20% interest, or 20% interest for a year, let's say, and you're going to lose $20,000, you're still going to make $80,000. Do you care? The other way that a lot of private lenders, a lot of people start when they're raising money with private lenders is they go to friends or family and they say, hey, I got this really good deal. Will you put up the money and we'll partner on the deal? Basically get a money partner. Then you don't have any payments. But a money partner, and I'm not knocking a money partner, you got to get in the game. A money partner gets you in the game with no money, and you're going to make half of the deal or whatever you can negotiate. Maybe you can negotiate 75% of the deal. But whatever you make, it wasn't with your money. So if you can find a real estate deal that makes sense and get somebody to give you the money, it's a no money down deal. And I'm telling you, I borrow money from private money lenders all the time. And when you start with one and you're paying them 12% or 15%, they're at their friend's house on Saturday going, hey, I'm the man. I get 15% on my money. I loan money to the real estate doctor, blah, 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 blah. And guess what? Their friend then says, hey, I'd like to do that. Well, hey, why don't you call a real estate doctor? And then you have yourself a bunch of private lenders. When you have private lenders, it unlocks the world to you. You can do any deal at any time, anywhere, and you don't need a bank to say yes or no. You don't need anybody to approve you. So raising private money is a way that you can get into deals without using your own money. Now, let's say you don't feel like you don't want to talk to anybody about loaning you money or any of the private money stuff. Let's say you have a real estate deal you want to flip. A lot of real estate investing starts with the deal. Sometimes people try to line up everything like, okay, I want to invest in, Chicago, and I want to invest in the South Side under $200,000, and I'm going to talk to a couple lenders, and I'm going to find out what I can lend. Honestly, you're wasting your time. Go find a deal. Once you find a deal, money will present itself. And this is not like the Wizard of Oz magic stuff. If you got a deal, call me. I'll give you the money for the deal if I'm in on the deal. So anybody that has a good real estate deal, money will come to. So let me give you an example. Let's say you want to flip a property. Hard money lenders, which was that middle lender, there's bank money and private money. And in private money, I put no money down. Sometimes I don't even make payments. I say I'll pay the payments at the end. Hard money, they have rules, and they might say, well, we'll loan you 70% of the after repair value. If you have a property that you want to sell for $200,000, you can get a hard money lender to loan you 70% of the $200,000 or $140,000. Now, if you can buy that property for buy it, renovate it, and pay closing costs for under $140,000, it's a no money down deal. It's a no money down deal. So if you want a no money down deal, go find yourself a fantastic deal and go find a hard money lender. And there's plenty of them. Like I said, you can just Google hard money lenders that will loan you 70%, 75%. Like the ones I work with will do 70% if the loan's under $200,000, and they'll do 75% if the loan's over $200,000. So if you can find a good deal, you don't need any money. And why would a hard money lender give you all the money? Because a hard money lender, most of them are former real estate investors. And if you mess up the project, they will just take it over and flip the property and make money themselves. So for you people that are out there like, wow, I need money to get into real estate. No, you don't. Go find a deal. Go find a hard money lender. Most hard money lenders, it's collateral based. You don't personally guarantee it. They don't care about your credit score. So that's another way. Okay, now let's think about this one. How about I don't have any money, or I have a hard, let's just say I don't have any money and I don't want to do any of those ways. You can get credit. There are people that have good credit that can get credit, and there's people that don't have good credit that can get credit, and there's people that are not even U.S. citizens, and I'm talking about investing in the United States, that can get credit. So let's talk about the three of them. So if you have a 700 credit score, you basically can get $75,000 to $150,000 like that in the United States, probably in a week. So if you didn't know, you can DM me and I'll tell you I don't do that. I'll refer you to somebody. Actually, did a podcast with somebody that does some of that. So you can get credit if you have good credit in the United States, anywhere, anytime. You could take that $75,000 or $150,000 and buy a property, or you could use it as a down payment on a property. You could do that. Now, let's say you got bad credit, right? You're a U.S. citizen, you got bad credit. Well, you can't go borrow money. Like, nobody's going to give you money. You already proved that you're not good with the money. But maybe now you learned your lesson and you're like, man, I want to get into real estate. I found a good deal. I just need money. You can create a company that has its own credit score. So a lot of things that people don't understand is in the United States, like we have a FICO score for our personal credit, and companies have a PAYDEX score, which is basically corporate credit. Now, a lot of people are running around the United States and don't even get a PAYDEX score because they haven't done what you need to do to get a PAYDEX score, right? Which is a process. You can get a DUNS. It's called a Dun & Bradstreet, which is a famous company. You can get a DUNS number, and then with a DUNS number, now you have the ability to get a PAYDEX score, and you add your trade lines, and you can build the credit of a company. So over here, this credit, and 80% of the people running around with companies in the United States don't even know this. They have a company, and they're getting loans based on their own credit when they could be getting loans based on the credit of the company. So you can build the credit of this company, and this company can borrow money. So when the banks look at this company, they don't look at the owner, they look at the company. Do you think that Amazon is going, hey, we need Jeff Bezos to personally guarantee that loan you need? No. And is that because it's Amazon? No. It's because these companies have their own scores. So basically, you can get your own score up and then go apply for credit. And you will get money that you don't personally guarantee that is for that company. And if you wanted a lot of money, you could just set up 6 different companies and go get that money. So there's like unlimited money. So I just told you how people with bad credit can raise money from building credit of a corporation. Now, if you're a foreigner from the U.S. and you want to invest in the U.S., there's 4,800 banks in the United States. There's not many of them. I mean, it might be 100 banks there's a bunch of banks that say they will loan foreigners, but you have to have an existing relationship. You have to have 2 years of tax returns. You have to have this. But if you're a foreigner in the United States, you know, there are banks that will lend to people that want to buy real estate, which if you want to DM me, I also will tell you who those are. But also, you can do the same thing with this. You can start a company in the United States, and I don't know what country you're from, but in Aruba, it takes 8 months to start a company. Maybe, right? In the United States, it takes 3 days, right? So you can start, you could be living in, let's say, France. You could start a company in the United States. You could be the owner of the company. In a week, you could have a company, and you could be applying for business credit for that company. So where a U.S. bank's not going to loan you money as a foreigner because you don't have a FICO score and you don't have a Social Security number, they'll loan your company because it's a U.S. company that's got credit. Well, there are other ways. You know, you could do options and lease options. There are many, many different ways, more than what I'm talking about, where you can do real estate deals with no money. These are the first ones that are popping in my head. And I hope that I brought you some value on how do you do deals with no money. So trust me, people, you can do deals with no money. You just need to know how, and go out there, find a great deal, and make it happen. Have the best day of your life, guys. So my camera guy, Sam from Aruba, wrote down a bunch of questions because obviously this is a hot topic. So I said, you know what? They're probably great questions. Why don't you ask me, and we'll serve you guys by answering maybe some questions that I didn't answer for you guys. So, Sam, what do you got?
All right, so the first question is, which way is your favorite way to do real estate out of everything?
Okay, so the question is, which way is my favorite way to do real estate out of all the ways that I discussed? So to answer that question, I like them all, but it also depends on the season of life that you're in. If you want to be wealthy, you don't want to just be wholesaling and flipping because you wake up every day unemployed and you got to find another wholesale deal and you got to find another flip. And flipping is good when flipping is good, but flipping can be bad when flipping is bad. How to be wealthy is you want to, own rental property over time. It's not sexy. Own rental property, let it go up in value, make your cash flow. Your cash flow will go up as you raise rents and you lower your interest rates, et cetera, et cetera. So the key, what I do with my students is I create a strategy. If you don't have capital, I say go build your capital with wholesaling and flipping and raising money like I just did with some of this credit, getting private lenders. Build your capital up so that you have money to invest in rental income-producing properties. So my favorite thing, well, not my favorite, but the thing you need to eventually get to is buying and holding rental properties. But these are tools that you can get in and build capital in order to get to that. Great question, Sam. Thank you.
Next question is, what's the best way to find deals?
Okay, so what's the best way to find deals? So first off, this is like, one, you need to know how to define what a deal is. So if you're looking for a flip, generally speaking, what I try to do is if a property will sell for $100,000, I like to take 30% off. And I'm not the only one. There's everybody and their mother. And that's $30,000. Subtract what the renovation will be. Let's say that's $20,000. And the highest I can pay for that flip is $50,000. So what I do generally is I'll go in a market, and let's say you're just looking at a real estate, like a website. I'll go into Pittsburgh, and I'll just go $0 to $100,000. And I'll look at all the cheapest houses, because how you find a deal is you find it somebody that's motivated. And those cheapest houses are the houses that need work, that people can't sell to everybody and their mother. Like, you're not going to get a deal from a beautiful house that's in Beverly Hills that's on the MLS. So what I do is I go into a market, I look for the cheapest houses, and then I start doing that math. Okay, this house, they're asking $50,000. It needs $50,000 for this deal to make sense. I just do the math. Like, oh, they sell for $200,000. So 200 minus 30% is 140. I need $50,000 to renovate it. I'm down to 90. I can pay up to 90 for that house. So anyway, that's how you find deals in any market to flip. You do a similar thing. I don't want to talk too long. You do a similar thing for rentals, but let me just talk a little bit about rentals. For rentals, the key is you want to be able to take a loan to refinance your money. You want to buy the property, fix it up, rent it out, use the BRRRR method, which I'm for sure going to do a podcast on the BRRRR method. And after you're done, you want to be able to get all your money back from the bank. So you also have to look at after repair values, and you want to make sure that you will be all in under 80% of that.
You talked earlier about teaming up with other people. Have you ever teamed up with a student?
Okay, so the question is, have I ever teamed up with a student in order to buy properties? Yes, I definitely don't want to do that a million times, because I'll have 5,000 people that want to team up, and my wife will kill me because I'm not allowed to do that many deals. But certainly, I really work for my students. So if you're a student and, I teach you how to find deals, you find deals, I'm going to get you the money. Like, I have a network myself. Maybe it'll be somebody in my network. I just did a deal yesterday where one of my students kept having a hard time getting a hard money loan just because of the area that they're investing. And I got a friend of mine that is going to loan them money. So, if you're a student of mine, you're going to succeed. I'm going to make sure it happens for you. So I'll help you with all the resources that I have in order to get a deal done.
You mentioned something about 9 hours of content.
So I mentioned that, I have 9 hours of content for the wholesaling business. And so basically, if you DM me and you're interested in the recordings on how to wholesale real estate, I'm happy to give you that information. But wholesaling real estate is where I really started. And, you can make a lot of money. And one of the problems, though, with wholesalers, and I have a lot of friends that are wholesalers, is that they never buy property and hold it. It's kind of like fast money. They're like, why would I buy this property and collect rent and make $200 a month. I can make $20,000 on it right now. And I understand that. And that serves you. And a lot of things in life serve you to a certain point. But if you want to go from this point to the next point, you need to be a real estate investor. You need to buy and hold. So no more questions from Sam. I really appreciate those questions. And I'm going to end the podcast this time for real. Everybody, have the best day of your life. Thanks.